Okay. Yes, we see only 85 devotees today. Maybe it's on a Saturday and a Sunday, there are less number of devotees. I guess it's Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan, right? Okay, right. Again, all our teachings are based on His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Okay, what was the link or the progression from this particular chapter, that is 13th to chapter number 14th? What we can understand is in chapter 13th, right, Lord explained how the living entity, which is a Purusha, the tiny Purusha, not the Vibhu or the Purusha, this is a tiny Purusha, is entangled in the material nature, that is Prakriti, due to his desire for enjoyment, which is Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan. Bhungte means we are always trying to enjoy the fruits of the material nature. And most of the times we try to lord it over as well, right? We want to rule the material nature as well. Now we are planning to get into the Mars as well. That's our next target. Right. Now in chapter 14, Krishna continues his explanation. Right. What does he continue his explanation here? We will try to see what these three modes of material nature are, how they work, right? How they bind the jiva, and how they can be destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. Right? Most important, how they work, how they bind the jiva, and how they can be destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. Today you will see all the actions that are there on the slide. You will wonder, oh, oh, so I'm in this particular mode. So each one of you people, each one of you will be able to what you call relate yourself to which mode you belong to. With that way, you will be able to understand and elevate yourself as to if I'm over here, what do I need to do next? How do I go beyond this? So this is what you will be able to understand, right? How to transcend as well, you will be able to understand. We will see that. So quickly we will see that. So today's again, these are the sections which we're going to talk. First, we will talk in the 9 verses about the three modes. Then we will see how these three modes, there is a race for prominence between goodness, passion, and ignorance. We will see how they are trying to become each other's supremacy or superior. And then we will also see what are the actions in these modes, how these modes turn out to giving up to certain actions. We will see that. And finally, we will see in the last section how one can attain or maintain or continue with the pure life in this material nature as well. How can we do before we transcend to the spiritual world? How can we take care in this? So His Grace Sutapadas has given the acronym for this particular chapter, that is 14th chapter, as trap. How we are trapped in this material world. Yes, I'm sure there is one particular devotee within us, that is Sri Vidya Mataji will be very happy with this, because finally we have come to this particular chapter and Mataji has been eagerly or inquisitively waiting for the three modes. Hope, I pray to the Lord, we pray to the Lord that we will be able to answer, or the way you have been waiting patiently for this particular chapter, I think your questions will be answered with curiosity. Right. So the first 2 verses, Lord will continue with the same motive, stating what is the importance of understanding these three modes. By learning these three modes, what we are going to gain. That is what. Okay, I see a. No, okay. So Lord will continue saying what is the importance of understanding this particular knowledge about the three modes. The first 2 verses relates to it, and finally he gives the relationship between jivas, prakriti, and the Lord in the 3rd verse and the 4th verse. Let's try to understand, right? Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadami aham sambhavah sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharatah. Mamadhyonir. It's clearly he's saying Mamadhyonir Mahad Brahma. So what does it mean? The total material substance. What is a total material substance? We know 8 elements, Pancha Mahabhuta and the 3 subtle elements. Apart from that, everything which are unmanifested that are there, right? The jivas that are there, all those total material substance which are called as pradhana which is in the unmanifested form. So when the Lord glances at Maya through the agency of Shambhu, that is Lord Shiva, that is where he impregnates. So the total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Right? So the Lord impregnates Prakriti. That is how this particular verse emphasizes here. So he's the one who is like a seed giving father, right? So if he doesn't what you call impregnate, then there is no life. So the entire total material substance which is in an inactive state will become active. Remember yesterday I also explained this once again. The Kala element is injected whenever there was a pralaya. After the pralaya, when life comes into picture, the Lord will glance at Prakriti, right? The Karnodakshaya, at the Karnodakshaya ocean. So he glances at the Prakriti through the agency of Shiva. So Shiva, that is Shambhu, and Maya Devi are like our father and mother for the material world. They are taking care of the material world. So once they are impregnated, that's where the rest of the living entities are created. Now, who creates the living entities? Are taken care by Brahma. Brahmaji takes care of it, right? That is what we can understand from here. So the material nature is the mother who supplies the living entity with the body. She's the one who creates this body for us. The soul is always eternal, but however the body is created. So the Lord puts him there by his potent glands and impregnates the material nature. That's how the soul comes into picture over there. However, the material body is created by Maya Devi and through the agency of Shambhu. Moving on, let me move on to the next slide. This is again the same thing, relationship between Jiva, Prakriti and Lord. He explains here, Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasham brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. Aham bija pradapita. What does it mean? That I am the seed giving father. He says it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father. If the soul element doesn't get into the body, so the body is created by the material nature, right? Bhuna apolana vayu. We learned that in the 7th chapter as well. Khammam buddhi evacha ahankara iti eme bhinna prakriti ashtadha. The 8 elements which we are just learned yesterday also from the 24 elements, that is a 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements constitutes of the 8 elements which are being provided over there, and he is the seed giving father. So the Krishna is the ultimate father. He gives a complete explanation here, right? This particular verse has a very detailed explanation. If you please get time or take out your time, it might take only 5 minutes for you to learn the purport, or just what you call read through the purport, right? It is very good, very neatly explained about Mahat Brahman. Mahat Brahman is the great Brahman, which refers to the material nature, which constitutes of those 24 material elements which we discussed yesterday, including our 5 gross senses and so on and so forth. And that is how the Lord impregnates that Brahman. So how Brahman is called as, Lord is called as Brahman, Parabrahman, we are also called as Brahman. The entire total material substance which has the life element in it, that is also called as Brahman, right? All those things are there. So now what happens when the Lord impregnates? Everything that takes place due to the combination of the body and the soul. So kshetra is provided by the material nature, then the spirit soul enters into it through the impregnation, and that's how he becomes the seed giving father. And that's exactly what it's being explained here. And all these details information are also available in the Mundaka Upanishad. All the references of the Upanishads are also given in the purport. If you will be able to take out some time, you can take out some time and it will give you all that information, right? So these living entities become conditioned now as and when they get into the material world, they automatically become conditioned by the material world. Now, what do I mean by conditioned? They become entangled with the material world, and we will see that from the verses, from the next verses, from 5 to 9 verses, we will see that in the first section. Okay, so this is a question for us or a ponder for us. What is the purpose of this material world or creation? Why did Lord create this, and why did Lord create the same thing for us? This material world, I'm sure you have seen this particular picture. As you already know, this material world is meant for misery. It's not meant for enjoyment the way we think. It's just as a prison house is meant for punishment, this material world is also meant for misery, which is dukkhalayam and a sashwatam. Always it is misery, misery, misery. So it is like temporary here, everything's. So jivas are bound in this material world, and we call this as a prison house. Moving forward, this was the what you call Goloka chart. If we remember, we spoke about from Lord Brahma to the smallest of the ant. All are in this particular material world, right? Satyaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, right? We are at the Bhuloka, Bhur Swaha, then Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. And then the lower planets are here, that is from 8 to 14, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. All these belongs to the material realm. And you see how many coverings the our universe has? 8 coverings. What are the 8 coverings which we just learned? Earth, water, air, fire, ether, then false ego, then the Mahatattva. Mahatattva is a constituent of everything. Then beyond that is where Lord Shiva comes into picture, right? That's the reason we called him as a he is not under the material modes. He's away from the material world modes because he is the greatest of the Vaishnava. Vaishnavanath Yatha Shambhu we call it, right? 12th Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 13th chapter gives that information about it. So he's above the material worlds. That's the reason he has his own loka called as Sadashiva Loka. If you have read in Vishnu Purana, it's there. In Shiv Purana also, it is there. Many references, it is there. He's above the material world. And for him, his supreme personality of Godhead is always Krishna. But why does he give boons to each and every person who comes in? Let's say, who was that in Mahabharat? The brother-in-law of Duryodhana, Jayadratha. Jayadratha. There are so many people. Ravana. He gives boons to them. Why does he give boons to them? He gives boons to them in such a way because he knows that he wants to please his devotees. At the same time, he knows that Lord, his own Lord, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna, will be able to take care of it, will be able to annihilate all those miscreants at any given point of time. Okay, I see that we have a question. Do we need to take this question now, Mataji? Okay, we'll take this question. Yes, Mataji.
Uh, Sir, this sixth one, that is Bhuvar,
Mm-hmm.
is it considered that is a abode of ghostly spirit? So ghostly spirit are considered superior to human beings?
Yes,
Oh, how ghost, but they are ghostly.
yes, they have special powers. So that's a
Aren't
reason. Remember in the ninth chapter we learned about Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrin Yanti Pitrivata. So some people they pray ghosts as well. If we have seen many in northern part of the India and many also in the southeast part of India, they still pray to ghosts and spirits because they want to attain to those ghostly spirit to their nature. Those tantra vayadi, yantra tantra and all that things. Yes.
so here ghost does not necessarily mean evil.
No, ghost does not mean evil. Necessary mean evil. If it was evil, then they come to the Atala Vitala Sutala. They'll come to the demoniac nature, the lower planetary.
Okay. And sir, Patal Naga's Vasuki means?
Yes, the Patala Loka. He's the ruler over there. There are some presiding deities. For example, Bali Maharaj is presiding over here as well in the Patala Loka. Does it mean that they have done bad things? No. They have done greatest of the penances, which we can't do as well. So that's how they are the ruling deity of that particular Loka.
Nagas means snake?
Yes, the hooded snakes.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Bol. Okay, so we'll move on. This is what the Goloka chart which we have shared earlier, right from this is the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, where when the material world was being created, what happens? He lies on the ocean of this particular Anda. That is, Anda is nothing but the universe, and then he starts perspiring. When he perspires, he fills half of it with the water, and then through his Navi, Pankaja, that's where Lord Brahma comes into existence, and then all the entire these planetary bodies are or the planetary lokas are created, right? In Bhagavatam, if we see, Lord's feet are like these two, the lower planetary worlds. So this entire 14 lokas are like Lord, and finally the neck portion, the head portion, and the forehead portion describes about the Lord Himself. So that is the best part of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we will be able to understand from the Lord's feet. Everything is explained, how the material creation is done, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'll move forward. How are we bound in this material nature? Let's try to understand. Now that we understood here what is the purpose of this material nature, let's try to understand how are we bound in this material nature, right? The modes of material nature, sattvam rajastama iti gunai prakriti sambhavaha nibhadnati mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Nibhadnati, that's how it binds us. The material nature consists of three modes, right? What are the three modes? Goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? When the eternal living entity comes in contact with this material nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. Conditioned means tied up, he's entangled. We become a Baddha Jiva. Now, how does the living entity gets entangled? Because as and when he comes in contact with it, despite of his independent we have. Remember, we always have a free will with us to enjoy, right? And we always have our own existence where we want to strictly control whatever we would want to do. And that's exactly why we come to this material nature and we try to lord over and control this material nature as well. We wanted to do anything and everything against the material nature as well. And that is the main fault of the jiva, which causes our soul to be conditioned in this particular state. And we finally rest in this particular material nature and try to blame Krishna for anything and everything. We always blame the Lord, saying, "Oh Lord, why have you given this COVID virus? Now that we have suffered enough, when will you stop our suffering?" Right? This is how we blame Krishna, and we get into a criminal state of mind by blaming anything and everything to Krishna. So, why is this? Because of our conditioned nature. That's how we get into. But people who are able to identify that there are different bodies that are there, and the bodies are different, and the soul is different, and we are able to connect to the Lord, for them, these three modes cannot play any role at all. For them, they will be able to understand that all these sources of misery that we have today, be it hot or cold, be it summer or winter, for them it doesn't matter, because they know that this particular place itself is a material nature, dukkhalem ashashvatam, and they will not try to gain happiness. For them, the real happiness will be to connecting to the Lord. Okay, I see. Yes, Prabhuji, you have a question. Or I think that was my mistake. Sitaraman Prabhuji, yes, you can go ahead if you have a question.
Sitaram Prabhu, you can unmute yourself.
I unmuted, yes. So in 14.5, we talk about three types of gunas, Satvika, Rajas, and Tamaguna.
Mhm.
And we also talk about the Rakshasa guna. Where does it come, or where is it appear?
Where does the Rakshasa guna come into picture? You will
Yes.
just learn that in the next couple of minutes, Prabhuji. We will see that.
Okay.
Yeah?
Hari,
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Vasudha Mataji. Hare Krishna. You also have a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. uh, there was someone was mentioning, and also it's true that the soul cannot be destroyed,
Mhm.
right? But it can be subject to the sufferings. How is that?
The soul cannot be destroyed, but the soul cannot be subjected to the sufferings. The soul is getting suffered, or are we getting suffered? Is the body getting suffered? We need to understand
No,
that.
because you say that somebody just mentioned on the chat. I read that how come when the soul is not getting destroyed, but we say that your soul will burn in the hell, you will suffer, the soul will suffer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Is
I have
that,
no,
how is that?
I'm not seen the chats yet, Mataji. Let me open the chats. Uh,
So that question came to my mind, that it's correct that if the soul cannot be destroyed, that's true. But it is subjected to the suffering that our conscious is built. We
Correct.
have some memories.
Correct. So
So,
can we wait
what
for
is that?
another? Yeah. So can we wait for another couple of minutes? We will try to understand these questions. If we are not able to
Yeah.
understand the questions, then we will take up the questions little later.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Rajni Mataji also has a question. Yes, Mataji.
Rajni Mataji, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, I think Mataji is not able to unmute, so we'll go ahead with this then. We will try to see as to how the sufferings we are talking about. We'll try to understand that in a couple of minutes. Right. So how do these modes affect us? Let's try to understand. This was the question which you people were asking just now. So how do these modes affect us? Let's see that in reality. Right. So people in these modes, what would happen? Let's see that. So people in the mode of goodness, in the sattva guna, as explained in the 14.6th verse, they're always peaceful and very happy, right? They are active, they are proud of their knowledge, they take pride in whatever knowledge they have, they are calm and creative thinking, helps one to find solutions. Now you can think about all these lines that are there, or all these points. Do you belong one of them? Do you think if you can give a tick mark to all these things, then it means you belong to the mode of goodness. Okay, do a fair justice. Please don't give a tick mark if you don't belong to them. The examples that are quoted by what you call many gurus, and by our sadhus, our spiritual masters, are like brahmanas, scientists, right, philosophers, etc., so on. They are like peaceful, they are happy, they are active, proud, right? These are the symptoms of the people who are in the mode of goodness. Now, why does material nature bind them if they are in this particular mode? If they are always peaceful and happy, why does still material nature bind them? Why does it still affect them? That was the question which we were asking. How do they suffer? The sense of advanced happiness, because they are almost in a sense of advanced happiness, that's exactly what it binds them and keeps them in repeated birth and death. How is that? Because having sense of superiority, hard to be humble. For them, it's like very hard to be humble. And for them, whatever we tell them, they'll say, I already know this. I know this. I know to whomever I'm praying, he's the best. You don't have to explain me way beyond this. So I know that whatever I'm doing is the best part of it. And that is exactly how they are always in that particular mode. So goodness people are always happy. However, passion people, they are very active. They are hyperactive if you see passion people are. But ignorance people are, can anyone guess? They will be in the mode of sort of helplessness. They're always in the mode of helplessness. So those who are situated in the mode of goodness, they become conditioned by the sense of happiness and their knowledge what they have. That is what we can understand. And what binds them? Because of this advanced happiness and because of their superiority and the knowledge that they have, that is exactly what it binds them in this particular mode. Let's try to understand what affects the passionate people, that is Rajas Guna. So people who are in Rajas Guna, they are hyperactive or very active, over ambitious, greedy, right? It's like the whatever tagline we have, Dil mange more. For them, it's like, right? They want praise. Every now and then they look for praise, nothing else. They're looking for honor in the society. They're very selfish, envious about their peers, envious about the neighbors, envious about their near and dear ones in their family as well. They're very competitive and hasty in their decisions. They would like to make decisions like this. They don't think at all. Material enjoyment and sense gratification. Always they want a material enjoyment. They look for material enjoyment. Today is a holiday. Tomorrow is a holiday. What next? What can we plan? What weekend? Mall, here, holidays. That's how their sense of gratification is. And they're always money minded. Okay, we have a 18-day course. How will it impact me? How will it help me to earn more and more money? That is the main. For them, anything and everything you ask them, what's in it for me? How will I gain from this particular course? Will I earn money? How will they gain? I'm sure everyone would have thought, including me when I was learning Bhagavad Gita, I was wondering, oh, let me think, how will this help me? Right? And overall, it helps us in a different angle altogether. But this is how the passionate people are, or people who are in Rajas Guna, that's how it affects them. And why does the material nature, how does it bind it? Because of the fruits of work. They are always desiring for the fruits of the work. They have unlimited desires and they want to fulfill unlimited desires. And they're willing to sin. Even they are ready to commit any number of sins totally, right? Just to fulfill the desires. They cannot take up bhakti no matter what you tell them. With a little bit of, forget about strong or dridhavrata, determination. They're not even ready for a tinge of bhakti as well, right? They cannot take up bhakti at all. And that is how they suffer being in this particular passionate mode. They always suffer. While they think that they are enjoying, they are always suffering, suffering, suffering here. So these are basically the products or the outputs of being in the mode of passion or being in the mode of Rajas Guna. For them, it's always hankering for material enjoyment, right? Because they always look for honor in the society, right? People in the mode of ignorance, who are like hellish, who are like demoniac in nature. Which just now Sitaraman Prabhu was asking the question, right? They are always lazy. They are in the mode of darkness. For them, it doesn't mind. Look at it. All the family, entire family, are busy with their gadgets, right? They're busy with their gadgets. They are crazy. The madness for them, right? They sleep. How many hours do they sleep? For almost 10 to 12 hours they sleep, right? For ideal, as per the Gita or as per the Shastras, a ideal person, if a person sleeps for sound 4 hours, the 4 hours is equivalent to 8 hours. But the Shastras, or if you go to a Ayurveda doctor as well, they say maximum sleep is 6 hours or 7 hours. 6 hours is a perfect sleep if we have taken care of our health well, which if we are being situated in the mode of goodness, right? Once you move to pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, you will even think that, oh, for me 6 hours is more than enough, you will think, right? They sleep for 10 to 12 hours, addicted to drinking, drugs and intoxication. For them, every time it is like intoxication. Without a addiction, they cannot do their job. They think that, oh, I'm missing something today. Maybe I was supposed to drink this. I was supposed to drink that. I was supposed to do that. For them, they postpone all their plans. Why? Because they are helpless. They're confused state. They're confused, fearful, depressed. They panic. Many of the things they panic to do, and they always depend on others for happiness, right? These are all the ignorance conditioning. These are all the conditioning. And what exactly is their destiny? We will see them. And why do they suffer? Because of this nature. And how do they bind and how do they suffer? Because of madness, laziness and sleep. They're too deluded to recognize Krishna's instructions, right? They are always in the mode of ignorance. They're lazy to perform austerities. They give reasons. You ask them, you tell them, oh Prabhu, no, I have so much of work. Oh Prabhu, I have a family to take care. No Prabhu, as and when I wake up in the morning, I have to take bath and then I have to kick to office. I have to get on to office. We tell them, oh, can't you regulate? Can't you find at least 10 minutes or 5 minutes of your time in your lunch break? No, Prabhu, you don't know. I have so much of meetings. Some stories they will give, but 24 hours they will be active on their social media, right? They are almost active on the social media. They are always crazy in doing unnecessary things. This is what the characteristics are, and that is how they affect their soul. Okay, now you can, with what we have learned from these three, I'm sure you have made a cheat sheet, or you have already making a note of it, or you have already tick mark. Identify your mode on your own. What time do we wake up? Then you can identify if we are waking up almost at 4, 4:30 or 5 at least, Sattva Guna. Rajas Guna, waking up at beyond 5 o'clock is like you are in the mode of passion, Rajas Guna. Tama Guna, way beyond 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, yes, it's just working hours. We are working from home, no problem. That's the shift timings I have, a US shift time, UK shift time, whatever shift time we are working in. I'm supporting this client, that client. So this is how we are binded to it. Identify your modes. As in when we wake up in the morning, we connect with the Lord by starting our japa sessions or chanting sessions. But Rajas Guna, they want to take care of their material body. We are not denying that you shouldn't take care of your material body. Yes, you should take care of your material body, but not to an extent where we are just spending our entire life and time only in the gym, right? And tamoguna, for them it doesn't matter. On the bed itself they'll be lying busy on their gadgets because they do not even think anything beyond that. Sattva guna, the books they prefer, everything and anything about scriptures, for them they would want to connect to the Lord. Rajas guna, you can see, for them it's passion. How do I make more and more money? Greed for them. They are very lusty, intense desire. They have always intense desire to fulfill because they always want to fulfill their material desire. And tamaguna, you can see what kind of books they read, right? They are always in some novels or the other. This is what their main aim is. Again, sleeping time, Sattva Guna, almost they close everything max by 9, 10 o'clock, not beyond that. Rajas Guna, they don't mind sleeping at any odd time. And Tamo Guna, you can see way beyond as well. So Arjuna pondered, does one mode becomes predominant than the other? Let's try to see. Is there any race for prominence? Yes, there is a race for prominence. This is the second section of the trap, TRAP, of today's chapter. How modes act during the times of the day, which we discussed in our previous chapters as well. Goodness, early morning, we all are in the mode of goodness no matter what. But people who are passionate and who are ignorance, they always remain in ignorance mode. But ideally, as per our soul's nature, we almost, the individual entity or the living jiva, almost all of us are in the mode of goodness early morning. Slowly, as the day progresses, we get into the mode of passion. Oh, I have to cook food for my family. Oh, I have to do this activity. I have to get to job. I have to hit to this. I have to go to school, so on and so forth. That's how it is. And when it becomes evening or almost going to get dusk, then we almost get into the mode of ignorance. We try to postpone things. No problem. Chalta hai. Right? Let's do this. We postpone it. That is how our nature of the soul is, or nature of our material body is. That's how it works. But we will try to see further to understand. So what is the result of actions in these different modes, right? How are they affecting us again, and what result does it come into if we are again and again being in these modes? Let's try to understand from the same verses what we learned. Goodness, results of pious actions is pure knowledge, right? Sees things as they are. At least goodness people, they are able to understand the things as they are. But why do they again suffer? Because of the bondage of the sattva guna. They are suffering because they think whatever they are doing is correct. They do not go beyond it. If you tell them, oh, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I'm already offering my prayers to Lord. I'm already doing austerities. I'm already doing good things. That is what they feel. However, in passion, for them it's always greed. Greed develops from material hankerings, right? And ultimately, they are already misers and misery for them. They're always into greed. Ignorance, they are into foolishness, laziness, madness, and they're always illusion. Maya Javanika Channam, which we were talking about, right? That's how, and they are bounded, and that's the bondage by Tamoguna. But if one elevates to Shuddha Sattva, which is pure goodness, what would happen to them? One obtains transcendental knowledge. So the progression is from goodness, you will be able to elevate to pure goodness. So in case from all of us, from the devotees who are there on today's call, in case you count yourself in the mode of ignorance, quickly try to switch over to passion. If not passion, directly switch over to goodness. Start doing those acts, change your routines and schedules as well. When immediate, that's the action items for you. Okay, moving on, the race for prominence, right? Our mind, remember, chanchalam himana Krishna, we are always fighting for the race for prominence, and these three modes keep pulling each other. Goodness, passion, and tamas will be pulling each other, saying, I want to win, I want to win. We will see that. Recognizing modes of supremacy. Rajas tamas cha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharatah. Rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. What does it mean? Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Similarly, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion, vice versa. In this way, there is always a competition for supremacy. Okay, now as and when I read this particular verse, I'm sure something is striking within you. So that's the reason I put this particular point here. Have you ever experienced this? Modes are not constant in their influence upon living entity, right? They are not constant. One particular mode will not stay constantly within us. According to our karma, our work, our association, with what type of people we are associating it, our choice of food, our choice of habits that we take, and so on and so forth, a particular mode becomes predominant within us, right? Today, most of you people were asking about the choice of foods of onion and garlic. Onion and garlic are always very high in passion and in tamasic foods, they are called as. So the more you get into it, you will get into that particular mode, right? That is how it is. So this is how we are in the suffering, or that is how it affects our soul, body and mind. The more it affects our body and mind and intelligence, that is how our souls are suffering. So as and we get in contact with our association, so that's exactly why it is clearly mentioned, make good association. Yeah, your friends should have a good association of your friends. Your choice of food, your choice of words, how you deal with people, everything makes a difference. So that's exactly how you will be predominant within one another. Moving on to the next slide. Why should we transcend these modes? Now that we understood that these modes will act on us in one way or the other with the superior, and because goodness conditions wants to be in happiness, and what you call, when it comes to the mode of tamas, you will always be in laziness, and when you're in the mode of passion, always you're looking for material hankerings or fruitic desires. So why should we transcend these modes? Let's try to understand. We should transcend these modes. Why? Because if one is actually intended to advance in Krishna consciousness and connect to the Lord, one has to transcend these modes. If we don't transcend these modes, we will always be in any of these modes. Don't think that, Prabhu, but being in goodness is good, right? Yes, you can be, but you will be into that same, you will be bounded by the mode of goodness, because you're always thinking that being in goodness is good. You will always get into the mode of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So, but is it easy for you to connect to the Lord? Yes, it will be easy for you to connect to the Lord, but you will take many, many births to realize and get into the mode of Shuddha Sattva, because you don't want to change your mindset at all. So, in fact, people who are in the mode of tamasic and rajasic mode, for them it is very easy for them to elevate themselves, because they will be easily be able to connect to the Shuddha Sattva. But people who are in the mode of goodness, if they still be hell-bent thinking, oh, I'm already doing pious acts, I'm already doing good deeds, I don't even have to bother. then for them it is very tough. They will take more number of births to elevate to the pure goodness. That's what we can understand. So what is the real state that we have to get into? Vasudeva state. And what is that Vasudeva state? It's the state of pure goodness where one can understand the signs of God, which is Sri Krishna. So in this particular section, we are talking about next life. Let's see what happens to these particular people who are situated in this in these modes. So in the mode of goodness, these people attains the pure or higher or heavenly planets of the great sages. Remember the 14 planets which we were talking about, the lokas. They will get into the upper planetary systems or the so-called heavens, whatever we call it. Swarga lokas they will get into, right? But again, what happens after getting over there? You will stay there for very thousands and thousands of years. You will enjoy, right? Your 1 year, one birth lifetime will be thousands of years. Just like Brahmaji stays for 100 years, and each 100 years is like millions and billions of years for him, trillions of years for him, right? Like that, you will attain thousands of lives in your one birth, and you will enjoy. And after that, what happens? Again, you also have to go through the cycle of birth and death. What about passionate people? They attain earthly planet. They live on the earth because they are too much attached into sense gratification, into fruitive desires or material hankering. They transmigrate through the human body itself, through one body to another. They just transmigrate because they are passionate. They get into the material hankerings and they again take the body of a human unless they make great and greater sins. Ignorance, right? What happened to the people who are in ignorance? They take birth in the animal kingdom, right? This was the question which you were asking a while ago, Prabhuji, Sitaraman Prabhuji. So what happens to such people? They take birth in the animal kingdom, they go down to hellish worlds or much more lower species. They will be born as a worm in the stool as well. That is what it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But people who are in pure goodness, they reach the eternal abode of the Supreme Lord. They will be able to connect to the Lord and they will be able to reach to the eternal abode of the Supreme Lord. How can we transcend these modes and become better in pure goodness? Let us try to understand that, right? So you might wonder that there are various obstacles, okay? Before we get into this chapter, let's talk a bit about it. How can we be what you call get these characteristics within us, or how can we imbibe these characteristics with us, right? For them, just like for them, it is very hard to humble. Who for what kind of people it is very hard to be humble? For people who are situated in the mode of goodness. So how do they get into the state of pure goodness? They try to understand that about their true nature, that not anything and everything that they know is beyond. For them, they should take, that's exactly why we say you have to take a shelter of a guru. You need to take a shelter of a spiritual master to understand way beyond. Otherwise, we think that whatever knowledge we have gained, that's the reason in Upadeshamrita it's clearly mentioned about Sambhutya and Asambhuti, right? We will be in the state of Asambhuti only in this material world. We will not try to connect to the Sambhuti, who is the real Lord. That is how we will get connected to. So we have to change our schedules, we have to change the way we are thinking, we have to change our perceptions, we have to change our food habits and so on and so forth, which we will see that. How can we transcend these modes and become better to pure goodness? So we have to reach to a platform of real knowledge. And what is a platform of real knowledge? Krishna explains that here in the 19th verse. When one properly sees that in all activities, no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, right? Don't think that the activity which you are doing is you who is doing. It is being done. We already learned about those three doers. It is being done through the agency of Maya, right? So today, if you are in this particular class of Bhagavad Gita, it's because of the goodness that has got injected into you, right? And he knows that the Supreme Lord, who's able to understand that, yes, at that point of time when I took the decision, I was in the mode of goodness. I wanted to understand the tattva about Lord, and that is how the Supreme Lord granted you that particular boon, and that's how you are in this class of the transcendental subject we are trying to learn here. And that's how one will be able to attain my spiritual nature. Okay, there are 2 hands raised. Yes, Rajani Mataji, please go ahead. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji, you're audible.
Okay, so I was wondering, there are 2 hands raised, so am I audible or not? I was wondering. Okay, I think that was my mistake. Okay, so the real platform of or the real knowledge, how do we get onto the platform of real knowledge is this way. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work other than these modes of material nature, and the person identifies or knows that the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains that spiritual nature. What does it mean? Whatever activity we are doing, if we are conscious about our activity, stating that yes, somehow or the other I'm getting bounded with this activity, right? But it doesn't mean that I take a glass of wine and I start drinking, saying, oh no, today I'm bounded with this material activity, with the maya, with that is with what you call tamasic. It's okay, I can take this particular glass of wine or whiskey or whatever it is. That doesn't mean that. That is called as foolishness. We are becoming a mudha over there, right? So whatever activity we are doing, take conscious of it and take the shelter of the guru, and then you, if you're able to identify that, that is the real platform. So how can we transcend? By learning from proper souls. Who are the proper souls? The Vaishnavas, the devotees, the first ABCD which we were talking about, association, right? We can consult with them, discuss with your spiritual master, take the shelter of your spiritual master. That's how you will be able to learn from them. And who's the real spiritual master? Real spiritual master is Krishna. Why we have given it as a Krishna? Because through him he is giving the knowledge to Arjuna, and through Arjuna we are getting the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, always learn from a realized bona fide soul. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, out of these 3 gunas, like in some qualities we are at tamo guna, some qualities we are at rajo guna, some qualities we are at sattvic guna. So whether the sattvic person will have all the qualities with the same gunas, or he will have different gunas for different
Very
qualities.
good, very good. You are able to identify and you are giving a very honest opinion about yourself. Yes, that's very fact. So all of us, no matter what, let's say I'm very high in Rajaguna, but still I will have that little bit of goodness within me. Okay, but my on a grade of highness, my passionate, I'm very passionate when it comes to Rajaguna, right? However, I have little bit of tamasic and very little bit of goodness within me. So how do I do it? I have to change my nature the way I'm progressing. But whatever you identified, it is very good. But if you still go and keep identifying yourself, you will see that you are very high on something, either on goodness or passion or lazy. That way you will be able to mold yourself.
Okay.
You're perfect. You're perfectly able to identify. Very
Yes.
good. You gave a very honest feedback. Yes.
You showed some attributes only, but there are many qualities which we have to assess and then convert ourselves or move towards sattvic guna.
Exactly.
Here you have shown some example. So like
Yes.
you says that if we get up around 7 o'clock, we know that we are at rajoguna. But okay, that we can correct ourselves. But
Yes.
about there are very many qualities where we are at tamasa guna. So how
Yes.
we can transcend to the sattvic guna?
Yes. For example, just give one. In Tamasic Guna, we will be trying to postpone things.
Okay.
Right? So when we know that that particular activity is important, the activity, if it is important, we shouldn't postpone things. We should act on a particular activity. So that way, that activity which we were trying to postpone it, that will not be, the Tamasic Guna is gone over there. Now we are getting into the mode of goodness.
Okay.
Right? However, let's say if you think, let's say there was an activity which is not that important, but you wanted to be saying, no, I have to do this, I have to do this. Which mode are you in now?
Rajoguna.
You're in Rajaguna. When you already know that that particular activity is not that high on priority, we should not act on that activity. So you can
Okay.
put that down. It means you are getting again situated to pure goodness. Now, sorry, goodness. But when you're in pure goodness, you will be able to calculate everything, all the activities that are there within you or within your nature, thinking, oh, now I'm being situated in pure goodness. I'm trying connecting or becoming a karma, right? I'm dovetailing all my propensities to Krishna karma, towards Krishna. Is this particular task really required? How do I do it? So you will take the shelter of a guru, you will take shelter of the God, saying, why am I doing this? Oh Lord, I don't want to drink tea or coffee today, but still, why am I doing this? So that regret thought is already coming into you, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that way you will slowly be elevate yourself. So, but apart from just regretting, what are you doing? Are you trying to read Bhagavatam? Are you trying to do chanting? Are you trying to do associate with good people? And are you able to change your schedule a bit? If you see a drastic change in you, that's where you are elevating yourself towards goodness, and going beyond pure, beyond goodness, which is Shuddha Sattva.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Ji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we have Manan Bakshi. Yes, please.
My question is, Hare Krishna.
Hare
My
Krishna.
question is it that Krishna is not able to hold our concentration? That's why we misuse our independence and fall to the material world. If not, then why did we misuse our independence? That's my question.
He does not hold our consciousness at all. That's the reason he has given us a free will, and we are
So,
misusing that free will.
but why did we misuse our free will if he is the supreme happiness
Enjoy
giver?
it. Uh-huh.
Why did we misuse our free will? But that's
Because,
my question.
yes, because we discussed about this question, Prabhu. I think maybe you missed out some of our classes, or maybe you were not there in some of the classes. So the thing is, we were always in the spiritual world, right? The soul is eternal, and we were serving the Lord in some of the rasas that we are there. The five rasas which we discussed are the transcendental mellows. Some way or the other, we were serving the Lord. But however, because of the soul's nature, that is a free will, we wanted to enjoy separately from the Lord. We were jealous of the Lord, right? We also thought, why only the Lord can enjoy? Why can't we enjoy? Then the Lord said, okay, you would want to enjoy, no problem. There is a place called as a material world where you can lord over, or where you can enjoy. So that is where we have come to this particular material world, and that is what we are trying to get enjoyed over here, and we are getting entangled in this material world with these modes. We have that free will, and Lord will not, as you rightly, or as your the question is, Lord will not force us to change our consciousness. He has given us our consciousness, and we have to elevate our consciousness. If he forces us to change our consciousness, for him it's very easy. He will force us saying, come and serve me. We are always eternal servants of the Lord. He never forces us to serve him. It's we who have to connect with him. Okay, I hope I was able to answer that question. Is that fine, Prabhu?
But my question is that why were we jealous of him? But still, another question is, why were we jealous? Why did we become jealous of him?
Because we
Because
wanted, because we want,
if he is the ultimate, if he is supreme, then we should not be jealous of him. So why did we become jealous of him?
so
That's my question.
there were, remember we were talking about yesterday's topic, the bijam kutam and the papam. So there was some seed within us, some, we are still not cleansed, we are still not, our sins are still not pure. So we had some proclivity within us which remained as a strain.
But if Krishna is supreme, so how can anything impure in the spiritual world affect us? That's the question.
Yes. So
That's
how
my
can,
question.
yeah, that's the question. How can the we get into the spiritual world? We got into the spiritual world, but looking around us, we also wanted to enjoy. We had a proclivity over there to enjoy some way or the other.
But so why did we want to enjoy? If Krishna, so that means that Krishna was not able to hold our attention. So that's why we wanted to enjoy in the material world.
Krishna
That's why.
will, Krishna will never hold our attention. Krishna will never force us. It's if we are holding our attention, it's as good as he's
No,
forcing us.
no. Actually, my question is, so why is he called as all attractive? So if he's not able to hold our attention, so why is our attention being is not getting concentrated on him only? That's my question.
Yeah, so I think we need to learn more deeper topics, Prabhu. Were you able to attend all the sessions, Prabhuji?
No, not all the questions, not all the sessions, but this was the query I had.
Yeah, so we discussed about in depth about this particular topic as to why the jiva has come down, why the jiva has come down from the spiritual world, how the jiva is created. The jiva falls down because of our sense of attachment with something or the other, right? Because of our sense of attachment with something or the other, that's how we fall down.
But if Krishna is the supreme attachment, so why? How can we how can we get attached to anything else except Krishna? So that's my question. Again,
Yeah.
that's the same question.
Because of the kleshas or because of that proclivity we had within us, within the soul. That
But
is exactly
why did we have kleshas? Why? Where is the question of klesha when Krishna is there? So if Krishna is in our soul, so there is no question of klesha.
That's exactly what we were not able to maintain, na Prabhu. That's exactly what the issue was. That's how we were able to. So we will park this question once we complete this.
We were not able to maintain, but how can we were? How did we not maintain that? Because Krishna is already the supreme happiness giver. So how did we not able to? How did we not maintain that?
Okay, let me ask this question. It's not a counter question, Prabhu. Now, after understanding this tattvas for the last 14 days, have you picked up chanting or have you picked up your spiritual knowledge? Have you been started doing or progressing anything in spirituality?
Yes, for 5 rounds I've done 5 to 6 rounds I do.
Okay, so
Chanting,
how do you experience? Why are you doing this? How do you experience when you do this, Prabhu?
It's I experience a little blissfulness, but not complete.
Correct. So are we doing this because of a material gain or are we doing this for some gain? Why are we trying to connect with the Lord? Are we trying to connect with the Lord because we need a material gain?
In my case, it's first for material gain for my happiness, and then it's for the Lord. But afterwards, it will be for the Lord. That's another thing. Only.
No, the real bhakta or the real happiness which we just discussed in the previous chapters is the person never thinks of connecting with the Lord. He only connects with the Lord. He doesn't even look for any happiness at all. For him, it doesn't matter. Just like the way we again reiterated yesterday, it doesn't matter for him if I'm going back to the spiritual world or if you're giving me a life here. I don't mind if you're giving me a life here, life after life, life after life, life after life. I don't mind suffering here. So that is a bhakta who thinks in that is a perception of a real bhakta. The bhakta will never think I have to get up in the morning, I have to chant because I have to go back to Godhead, I have to get into liberation.
So Krishna, so is Krishna's opulence less that we are not able to do such sadhana and achieve him? That's the question.
No, are we able to see Krishna? Are we able to understand Krishna? First of all, we are questioning Krishna's opulence, but are we able to
No,
understand Krishna's opulence? That is a question we should ask. Prabhu, do you remember we are born with 4 defective things. What are the 4 defects that we are born with, Prabhu?
I don't know.
Yes, so we discussed about this, Prabhu. I think you have to go back and recap this. So just for the benefit of the time for other devotees, what I'm going to do is we can have this particular discussion after end of this session. So let me continue this session and we'll have this discussion a little later. Is that fine, Prabhu?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Nikhil Prabhu, can we park your question, or do you have a question which you want to take us now?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
My question is that will there be any souls that are still connecting with Krishna? Means we are separated from Krishna. Means for becoming independent from Super Soul, we are separated from him. But are there any souls that are still existing with Krishna itself in the Krishna Loka?
Yes, there are souls that are connected in the Krishna Loka. Do we have references of it? There are references. There are many souls who have gone back to the spiritual world, who have
Yeah,
done
yeah,
good deeds. Yeah, that's how we can understand Prabhu.
yeah. That's what my question, Prabhu.
Okay, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, most of the devotees are requesting to take the question answers once the chapter is done because they are saying the flow is getting interrupted.
Yes, I also felt the same. While I'm not able to see the chat window, sorry for that. I'll continue with it now.
No
Okay,
problem.
so we were on the platform of real knowledge. We discussed about this, and we also discussed about what is the supreme or the real platform, and how is it very important for us to take the spiritual master guidance. It's being explained here. Moving further, results of understanding this, transcending the modes, what will the results will? So when the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from the birth, death, old age, and the distress or the disease, and can enjoy the nectar even in this particular material life. How? Once we understand the connectivity between these material modes, we will be able to enjoy in this. So, how one is able to transcend? By getting into devotional service, by getting into bhakti, by understanding Lord, by understanding His potencies, by understanding His powers that are there, He's given, by not misusing the material nature. One can enjoy happiness even in this body till one goes to the spiritual sky. That's the essence of the results once we transcend the modes. How can we also transcend the modes? We already discussed this by following the four regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, right? Because these are the barriers for us, and each one of us have agreed on this part. There are no two thoughts on this. And then getting into this act as well, Sattvic association, right? The company of devotees. If you are not able to get the company of devotees, right? Discuss spiritual context within your family people, within your friends, or try to be away from those friends, right? In the Upadeshamrita, in the scriptures, it's clearly written, Janasangasya laulyam cha, right? Don't get into that. That is one of the there are six effects where which will vinashyati, your bhakti will go down. So choose your right kind of friends. Don't get into it, right? Sattvic diet. There are so many things that are there in Sattvic. I'm sure you people know it, like fruits, milk, grains, cereals, vegetables, natural products, sanctified, right? Karma free diet. That's what it's mentioned there as karma free diet. I hope you understood what I meant over there. Sattvic routines, sleeping early, waking up early, cleanliness, right? Externally, internally cleanliness. Sattvic dress, simple dress that does not provoke others. People who would want to provoke others are always in the mode of passion, or people who think that chalta hai, I'm wearing something or the other, they will be in the mode of ignorance. Sattvic environment, taking time about self realization, always connect yourself, think about yourself, who am I, what am I doing here, why am I here in this material world, what is the purpose of my life here. Think about that, you will get all the answers. Thinking about Krishna and the purpose of life, these are certain routines which we can think of and which we can change in our life. And this is our Kali Yuga Dharma, which we have seen this slide in the last 14 days many number of times, right? Pick up your chanting bag, pick up your time wherever you are. If you don't have a chanting bag, if you're walking, going on a jog just for your health, start thinking about Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wherever you are sitting, whatever you are doing, pick up chanting. Don't forget to pick up chanting, right? So what is the ultimate conclusion with all through this particular chapter, or how can we transcend the entire modes? This is one of the important verses in this. Mam cha yo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So you will reach the brahma bhuya stage. It means you're almost in the transcendental state or the trance state which the dhyana yogis do. You don't have to get into the Ashtanga Yoga or the Dhyana Yoga, but getting into the trance or thinking about the Lord, always Smaranam Mananam, automatically you will get into it. So, what does it mean? One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of the material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. What is the level of Brahman? We are Brahman, the material nature is Brahman, the Lord is Parabrahman. So we will be in that stage where we are connecting everything. Our soul connects to our Paramatma, that is a super soul, and finally we are able to connect to the Lord, and we will be in that particular stage where we are waiting for the Lord to reciprocate, where we will be starting to understand, yes, these are the clues that are being given by God, and then you will be ready to become an instrument as well by the Lord. That is how we will be able to transcend the modes of the material nature. And what is the importance of devotional service? We all know the importance of devotional service. Once you get into it, there will not be any sort of a degradation or a sort of a failure, because you will be firmly fixed. Ananya Bhakti, undeviated path. Once you get into Bhakti, there will not be any more questions at all. So your perception or your individuality will totally change, right? You will understand the various forms of Krishna that you have, the various avatars that are there. You will understand that each and avatar, there was a particular reason why the Lord has descended on this particular material world. You will understand the Sat Chit Ananda aspect of it. Sat is eternal, Chit is a knowledge, and the Ananda is blissful effect of it. And that way, you will be able to get into the mode of action, which is Bhakti Yoga, which are way beyond all the three modes of this material nature. And this is the real essence or the happiness which one can attain by doing Ananya Bhakti. That is what we can understand from this particular chapter. With this, we can conclude the chapter. Let's chant 3 times for the welfare of everyone, for the health of everyone, so that people who have not started can start, and people who have already progressed can progress further. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.